prosecution, and more.
This House will build the needed collaboration and coalition of MPs to join the fight against Galamsey. After all, it is happening in our various constituencies and by our various constituents. We perhaps hold the key to solving this problem.
Also coming up, Majority Leader touts government's achievements in managing the economy. Tonight, we'll bring you more. Also, former aide to Baumia and others to face 3 witnesses of OSP for allegedly attempting to unlawfully acquire 10 containers of imported rice at the Tema port. And then we'll bring you some international news as drone strike hits area near Sudan's international airport a day after Sudan's Civil Aviation Authority announced a resumption of flights on Wednesday. Tonight, we have other interesting stories making the 1 hour bulletin. Stay with us as we share all these details with you, including some sports updates and the latest from our world of business. Be my guest. Stay with us as we bring you all these stories and many more. All right, we appreciate you staying with us. It's the special edition of the news. We're starting early, so we're taking you live to the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel for the declaration ceremony of the Gomoa Central Specialized Economic Zone. This is under the auspices of the 24-hour economy and the accelerated export development. Let's just move in and get snippets of activities there.
Backbin. Welcome him with a round of applause. And finally, to bring to us the President's remarks, we're happy to bring to you the Special Advisor on 24 Economy and Special Economic Zones, the renowned Augustus Guzi Obuadum Tano. We're happy to have the Paramount Chief of Gomoa Ejumako Obrimpong Nyamfo Krampa, the 11th, to present the land title documents to the principals of the GCSEZ. Let's welcome Kweku Benya, who is the project coordinator, accompanied by the MP, Kwame Asari Obeng. The president of the GJA is happy to endorse this very important project. Ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome Albert Kwabena Jumfo. Before we set off, we want to bring to you the opening prayer, a man of God, celebrated global evangelist, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete. The National Dance Company will take us through a very quick performance before. All right, so thank you very much for staying with us. We'll be taking you back
to the Mervyn Peak Ambassador Hotel, where we'll be carrying out the program live. In and between that, kindly let us bring you some local stories. And here, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, that's the OSP, will be relying on 3 witnesses to testify in a case in which 4 public officials have been formally charged with corruption in connection with a high-profile attempt to unlawfully acquire 10 containers of imported rice at the Tema port. Well, the 4 accused persons, including James Keck, or say 52, former director at the former Vice President, that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's Secretariat, have all pleaded not guilty to a combined 11 counts of charges related to corruption of a public officer. Well, the rest are Issa Seidu, 53, General Services Manager of the National Insurance Commission and a businessman, and the Customs Officer John Aban, who is 61, and Peter Archibald Hyde, who is 61. Well, they are allegedly to have conspired to seize the container using forged documents and a falsified letter purported to originate from the office of the Vice President. Well, the rice in question was legally imported from Thailand in year 2022, and all acquired duties had been duly paid. However, Seidu, with support from the other accused, attempted to secure the release of the containers through the Ghana Revenue Authority's auction process under false pretenses. The OSP argues that they have manipulated official processes with the aim of diverting the containers for their personal gain. In court on Tuesday, October 21, 2025, Adelaide Koburi, principal prosecutor at the OSP, said they have complied with the court's orders to file their disclosures and witness statements. Well, she also indicated to the court that the prosecution would be relying on 3 witnesses to prove their case. The defense lawyers, including Judge Bernard Shaw, confirmed receipts of copies of the prosecution's processes, except to say they would need time to go through them with their clients. Justice Ruby Aite, the presiding judge, has adjourned the case to November 7, 2025 for a case management conference. All accused persons were present in court. Well, some more local stories tonight. And here, a 32-year-old man is in police custody for impersonating a police officer at a public event in Accra. Well, the suspect, identified as Nelson Akoto, was arrested by the National Operations Directorate Surveillance Unit while posing as an assistant superintendent of police at the Black Star Square.
What was meant to be a night of music and entertainment at the Black Star Square took a dramatic turn when police officers arrested a man for impersonating one of their own. The suspect, 32-year-old Nelson Akoto, was picked up by the National Operations Directorate Surveillance Unit on Sunday, October 19. He was noticed dressed in a police uniform with the rank of an assistant superintendent of police, behaving suspiciously. Upon interrogation, Nelson confessed he was not a police officer. He told investigators he wore the uniform to gain free entry to the event, claiming he could not afford the ticket free. A search at his home in Taifa Ashama uncovered a toy P99 pistol, pepper spray, 2 mobile phones, a knife, complimentary cards, and multiple identification documents bearing different names. Police say the uniform originally belonged to a deceased chief inspector from whom the suspect obtained it in 2022. Preliminary investigations revealed that Nelson works as a security guard and a messenger at a private company. He is currently in police custody and will be arraigned soon. The police service has once again cautioned the public against impersonating law enforcement officers, warning that such acts are criminal and punishable by law.
Well, all is set for us to bring you insights tonight. On Insight tonight, Speaker of Parliament Alban Kingsford Bagbin opened the third meeting of the first session of the 9th Parliament with the swearing in of lawyer Bediako Bedu as MP for Akwetia and Professor Alidu Seidu as MP for Tamale Central, following the demise of Ernest Yaokumi and Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, respectively.
In the name of the Almighty God, swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana.
As by law established.
As by law established.
That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana.
That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana.
And that I will preserve.
And that I will preserve, protect,
and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
And defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And so I'm going to hand this over to you. There are other documents that the clerk's office will make available to you. And please, if you really want to perform your duties well, you have to put them and sleep with them. There's a lot that you have to learn. Whether you are a professor, or you are a farmer, or you are from anywhere, you have come to a new school. And that school starts from crèche. And you are starting from crèche today.
All right, so it's been an insightful day in Parliament. Today we'll be sharing more highlights with you. But one thing the Speaker has been pushing for is for an annual leave for parliamentarians. Well, joining us on the phone lines right now is the Executive Director of Parliamentary Network, that's for Africans, that's Sami Obin. Sami, thank you very much. Well, parliamentarians should be given leave. You're joining me on Zoom. Kindly share your thoughts on this one immediately and about what transpired in Parliament today.
Well, members of Parliament, just like all of us, yourself working, for the EIB network, myself working for Parliamentary Network Africa, as workers, by labor law and arrangements, are supposed to be entitled to some time off work to rest. This is important for our health. This is important for the energy that we need to get the work going, etc., etc. However, in the case of Parliament, it's important that we put these conversations in its proper context. Members of Parliament, just like teachers, usually would go on recess. Teachers go on vacation, and we know how the vacation period plays out to the leave period that teachers do get, or how vacation period is sometimes seen as akin to leave period. However, in the case of members of Parliament, the argument is made that when they are on recess, they are still working because they need to engage with their constituents, they need to do field work for parliamentary committees, etc. This is true in some instances, but we also know that in some instances it's not very true. And so whilst Parliament is justified to start having conversations around leave period for members of Parliament, we need to, in these conversations, start regularizing how they also get to spend their recess. They must be accountable for the recess periods. There must be some forms, monitoring and evaluation mechanisms to be able to know how they engage with their constituents when they go on these recess. What kinds of engagements do they do? How are they even reporting on these engagements? What kind of engagements do they involve themselves in on parliamentary committees, etc.? so that we will know that truly during this period, it's still work for members of parliament, for which reason they must be legitimately entitled to leave period, just like you and I. And so, yes, this leave conversation is a very legitimate conversation that needs to be held, but it has to be held within the context also of accountability for the recess period that members of parliament have.
So, Sammy, I'm wondering, how will this play out? Is it going to be a number of days for each parliamentarian? Are they going to put this together and say, look, we all take leave when it comes to December or something? How, in your opinion, do you think this should play out? Of course, like you rightly mentioned, considering the recess also.
Well, these are conversations that members of parliament should be having. These are conversations that the institution of parliament, the parliamentary service, should be having, because these are people who are working within the parliamentary service. The parliamentary service has its own rules. They have laws guiding the parliamentary service. They have administrative arrangements guiding the parliamentary service. For every institution, you know that there are processes and procedures you need to follow if you want to apply for your leave period, etc., etc. So these are internal conversations they've got to be having, and it's our expectation that they will make these conversations as open as possible. There are committees of parliament that are responsible for members' welfare, etc. Together with the administrators in parliament, will make for a good conversation on this. However, in having these conversations, they must have it within the context of the service they are rendering to the nation and how this plays out within the context of the recess, just like I have explained earlier on. It could be different ways and forms. It's not only Ghana that we are looking at leave period for members of parliament. There are other structures and models that exist in other parliaments, the world over. These are examples that in engaging with their sister parliaments and colleagues, they are very privy to. And so I expect that they'll bring all of these learnings together to be able to come up with a system that will be robust, but a system also that will show that whereas the ordinary Ghanaian is entitled to some leave and is accountable for the other days that they are not on leave, accountable for the kind of work that they do, members of parliament must not be an exception.
Interesting. I'll let the leave matter rest for now. I'm sure as and when there's more deliberations on it, I'll get back to you. But hey, one issue that has cropped up is renovation of parliament. And it's not the first time we're seeing it. Some other times when it comes up, it comes with all the controversy and other matters. We're trying to dig around it and try to find out really how much was invested in it. Would you take a little time to really comment on issues surrounding renovation of parliament and how it is done?
Well, I don't think that it is out of place for media organizations like yours to be wanting to dig around to find out how much it costs. I think that even for Parliament's own accountability's sake, they don't necessarily need for media organizations to be digging around before some of these information are proactively put up. We know that they've invested heavily in the digital gadgets that are in Parliament. We know that they've done some renovations in the past. Earlier this year, there's another renovation that has happened. We know that even before this current parliament, there were some renovations that were also done in very recent past. It is important that the questions that Ghanaians are asking about how much it costs to do these renovations are answered. We have always argued that in the spirit of parliamentary openness, the budget of parliament and how parliamentary budget gets expended needs to be a matter of public, information. As Parliamentary Network Africa, we publish together with colleagues around the continent, the Africa Open Parliament Index. And we know that Ghana's parliament, together with many of its sister parliaments, do not do too well when it comes to parliamentary accountability, whereas they do well when it comes to parliamentary transparency and citizens' participation in the work of parliament. Accountability, how parliament's funds are used, what kinds of budget lines do parliaments have, what bids, what contracts are parliaments dealing with, are usually issues that are clothed in some level of opacity so far as parliament is concerned, and we need to shine the light on these matters. So yes, these are legitimate questions to be asked by Ghanaians. These are legitimate questions to be asked by you journalists, by us in civil society. And if Mr. Speaker says that the country should be thinking in the future about how to make sure that we have a chamber that is befitting of parliament, because the current one, as he put it, may not necessarily be fit for purpose always, legitimate as that concern may be, it can only receive the support of Ghanaians when we know that the little resources that are given also for innovations and for other administrative work are being accounted for and accounted for properly.
Sammy, thank you. Thank you. We're really grateful for your time tonight. But allow me to stay some more in Parliament as the majority leader and the minority leader have all been sharing their thoughts. Well, let's hear the majority leader who's been talking about some creation, minority leader who's been talking about some creation of jobs amongst others. Let's just quickly take a listen to that.
Mr. Speaker, the state of our nation's governance presents a mix of trials and opportunities. From economic hardship on the home front to unsettling development on the international stage, these past months have indeed tested our resilience as a country. Enough of the rhetoric of 24-hour economy. We've had one job, 3 shifts. Enough of it. We want the reality to be seen on the streets of Accra. The minority, therefore, finds this trend dangerous and calls for restraint, reflection, and a renewed commitment to fairness, equality, and the true meaning of freedom under the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, the minority registers its unequivocal objection to the removal of the Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokonu. The so-called Puaman report remains a secret document. We, the minority, shall not relent on our demand for a copy and a full disclosure of this report. Mr. Speaker, this matter goes beyond one individual. If this false and irregular process succeeds, it endangers every independent constitutional body. The Auditor General, the Electoral Commission, the National Commission for Civic Education, and even the Public Services Commission could be targeted next under the same Article 146 procedure. The question that must even be asked, that when a person is removed as a Chief Justice, that he or she remain a Justice of the Supreme Court. This will destroy the safeguards of accountability and erase the principle of probity from our governance. If judicial independence can be manipulated in this manner, we should not expect free or credible elections in future. We cannot afford to lose hope. Our nation has weathered many storms, and each time we have emerged stronger. The minority will continue to be the voice and the shield of the people in this august house. Though we are 87, we assure the people of Ghana that we are firm in our conviction and will be able to hold this supermajority to account. We don't believe in numbers, we believe in substance, and will confront you with substance. Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo marking there. It's now time for us to hear from the Majority Leader who's been touting his government's achievements within the period amongst others. Let's listen.
Our hospitals and health facilities are being well funded, and Mr. Speaker, I can only say good things will happen to this country. Our metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies are very well financially lubricated, with prompt transfers of 80% of the common fund allocations. Total disbursement for the first quarter of 2025 was 711,334,852 Ghana cedis and 56 pesos. That's the first quarter. Second quarter 2025 disbursement was also completed on 21st August 2025, and this was 1,318,484,908 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, these disbursements are boosting local economies as procurements which must be done at that level are being done to create local jobs and opportunities. Many progressive initiatives we approved in this House in the last meetings have been launched are on course Notably, the big push in road infrastructure is on course. So far, so excellent. Mr. Speaker, Info Analytics did some polls released in on July 1st, 2025, and they revealed that 70% of Ghanaians believe the country is on the right track. 70% of Ghanaians believe the country is on the right track. So far, so excellent. The IMF has also lauded Ghana on recent stabilization of the city, noting that the development signals improvement in the country's economic fundamentals, renewed policy credibility, and investor confidence. So far, so excellent.
Well, let's still stay in Parliament as the controversial anti-LGBTQ plus bill that seeks to impose stricter penalties on same-sex relations, public displays of affection, and the promotion of LGBTQ plus content is expected to be reintroduced in the Parliament House. Well, the private member bill is being sponsored by Reverend GHOne Fojo of Asin South, Samuel Nate, Judge of Ningo Prampram, Emmanuel Kwesi Bejira of Ho West, Helen Ajua and Toso of Krache West, Nuruddin Mohammed Mumuni of Naregu Gambaga, and then Vincent Eko Sofua of Old Tafo, Al-Hassan Tampoli Sulemana of Gushegu, and Rita Na Odole Sowa of La Dadekotopon, Dr. Tia Abdul Karibu Mahama of Wale Wale MP, and Anthony Mina of Odoto Bri. Well, let's now go on the phone lines and speak to a member of the bill and a member of Parliament for Asin South, Reverend GHOne Fojo, for more on this. Reverend, thank you very much for your time tonight. So, yes, this is the latest move. Share some more highlights with my viewers, and then we'll nail some pointers in there. All right, so we're trying to raise the Member of Parliament for Asin South, Reverend GHOne Fojo, to speak to us on the LGBTQ plus content that is expected to come up in Parliament, and that same bill would impose stricter penalties on same-sex relations, public displays of affection, and the promotion of LGBTQ plus content. Well, I have mentioned a few MPs who have sponsored this. Like I mentioned early on, we're getting to Reverend GHOne Fojo. Reverend, thank you very much for your time. Are you on the line? Good evening. No, we don't seem to have him on the line, but I've shared with you a few MPs who are sponsoring this, and that includes Vincent Eko Asefua of Old Tafo and Lasan Tampoli Sulemana of Goshegu, Rita Na Odole Sowa of La Dade Kotopon, and Dr. Tia Abdul Kabiru Mahama of the Wale Wale. He is the MP for Wale Wale. What they are doing is the controversial bill is seeking to impose more stricter penalties. So, Reverend Fojo, thank you very much. I trust the people of Asin South are doing great. So, let me find out from you the latest on the LGBTQ bill that seeks to be surfacing up in Parliament. Share with us the latest on this.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kaku. So, today, the first day of the third session, the third meeting of the first session of the 9th Parliament. The Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2025 has been introduced to Parliament, finds expression on the order paper. What that means is that for first reading at any point from now, the Speaker could call for the laying of the bill and for first reading to be done. And then we'll proceed on to the consequential amendments, committee work, consultations to stakeholders, and eventually second reading, third reading, and then it's passed. So that's where we are. We want to thank the Speaker for his consistent position, as well as my colleagues in Parliament, all 276 members of Parliament, the unanimous support, because this is a bipartisan bill, especially the 10 members of Parliament who are the leading sponsors of the bill. Honorable Sam George, Honorable Eja, Honorable Tampuli, Honorable Kwasifa, Honorable Ntoso, Honorable Abdul Kabir, Honorable Tony Mir, and Honorable Nuruddin, all of them who have consistently stood together to ensure this bill has been gazetted and matured and now in Parliament. So we're resolute in preserving the sanctity and dignity of our Ghanaian values which are very important to 93% of our population, as the Afrobarometer survey report in 2021, and which pursued the whole of Ghana media, our chiefs, our clergy, our rank and file, almost every CSO supported. And so we are grateful for that support. This is time for us to renew that support.
Reverend,
ensure we continue.
A quick pointer. I would want you to clarify, because I guess you've been explaining reasons why the bill failed in the last Parliament. If you can clarify for us, we'll be grateful.
Yeah, so as we are all aware, when the bill was passed in 2024, right, even before it would be passed, from first reading, second reading, consultation time, all the way to third reading, there were a plethora of legal battles. There were legal suits, many of them, that challenged the bill. And eventually, even when it was passed, there were bills, there were legal suits that stayed the hands of Parliament, that injuncted Parliament from transmitting the bill to the President for accent. So whether or not the bill should even be assented was not a matter of which decision the President had opportunity to take, because the hands of Parliament were stayed by legal procedures and did not even get to the President. Eventually, when the Parliament was expiring, way after election was held, somewhere latter part of December, was when we had the conclusion of the matter having been determined by Supreme Court. And so that everybody knows is transparently the reason why the bill was not assented. But be that as it may, we still have a Parliament that is thriving, and for which we have to ensure that, having settled every legal disagreement and controversy surrounding the bill all the way to Supreme Court, it is not expected that new arguments may arise or new challenges will be such overwhelming to challenge its legitimacy, and that whatever legal challenges it suffered in the previous time is not expected to be suffered again. But let me be quick to add that whilst we are all pursuing this noble cause, you would also likely find some actors who would want to derail the effort, and so for which they will resort to fake news, they will resort to inaccurate, reportage, to wrongfully attribute certain things we haven't said to create disaffection. I must put on record, contrary to what some media stations, some of whom have not even spoken to or engaged in any interview, sharing news card around that I have said President Akufo-Addo failed to sign the bill, and that is the reason why people lost. It is false. It is a complete fabrication. And anyone who has come across such news card or anything like that flying around should treat it with the contempt it deserves. I've never said that, and I will never say so. We all know the reason why the bill suffered that impediment, and has nothing to do with President Akufo-Addo. And as a matter of fact, this is an opportunity for us to pursue it together as a bipartisan bill for us to see to the conclusion of the matter.
So for the sake of our viewers, I'd want you to re-emphasize this for me. So he said, what exactly did you not say, especially with reference to former president, the former president?
Yes.
Former president.
Yeah, some news cards peddling around with this fake news, the usual fake news, that in Tim Fojo says President Akufo-Addo's failure to sign the bill is what resulted in the loss of MPP. It is false. I've never made any such statement. I've never made any suggestion even close to that. As a matter of fact, one of your sister stations who were at the forefront of that just spoke to me on air, live on their station, and they have apologized and acknowledged that indeed that was inaccurate. So that's for everyone to know. But if anyone is spreading such falsehood, it is not the case.
Reverend, we're sincerely grateful for your time this evening, sharing the details with us as and when it crops up in Parliament with all the details. We're sure we will be sharing with our viewers. Like rightly said, you have gone through to sponsor with your colleagues in Parliament, and our parliamentary correspondent will be updating us more on it. Let's do other stories at this moment, and that was not all, because we're still staying in Parliament. I've shared with you early on some activities from the Speaker. Well, that was not all. The Speaker also referred to the nomination and vetting of the appointment of Justice Paul Bafuboni as Chief Justice to Parliament's Appointments Committee.
Nomination of Chief Justice. Following consultations with the Council of State, conveyed by its letter dated 14th October 2025, and in accordance with Article 144, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, I have the honor to respectfully submit for the approval of Parliament the nomination of Justice Paul Bafuboni as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Justice Bafuboni has distinguished himself through unwavering integrity, sound judicial temperament, and a deep commitment to the rule of law. His long and meritorious service on the Supreme Court has been characterized by professionalism, fairness, and a passion for justice. Honorable members, I accordingly proceed to refer the said nomination to the appropriate committee, and that is the Appointments Committee, to do the public hearing and submit a report to the House for consideration.
All right, so right there, the Speaker of Parliament's referral of Chief Justice nominee to the Appointments Committee there. Well, I might also have to add that the former CJ, that's Justice Tokonu, has headed to court placing an injunction. We will not speak much on it. We would watch how it plays out. But I can assure you that we'll be here to share all details with you on how that plays out. For now, that'll be it for Insight. All right, so thank you very much for staying with us on the short edition of the Bulletin tonight. We really had to alter our time just to make way for a special program. When now we'll take you live to the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel for the declaration ceremony of the Gomoa Central Specialized Economic Zone. Now, this is under the 24-hour economy